Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing? I'm going to get this right off the start. Hopefully, you let me know if you can hear me okay? Um, I'm in the van. I'm in the work van. Unfortunately, the worst thing happened. I got called out today, literally as about two and a half hours ago, to a place that was 2.5 hours away from where I live. So I drove up here. Luckily, it was a 5-minute job, but I've had to go live from the van. So apologies for that. We are. Yeah, fantastic. Kate can hear me fine. So can Muddy Boots. Hear you loud and clear. Excellent. So, yeah, apologies for being in the van, but it gives me a chance to test out how we can take the live shows out on the road. Now, what we're going to talk about today is what garden shows are you going to this year? That'll be coming up in just a moment. First of all, we will go through what I've been up to over this last week, but let's see who we've got in the comments. First of all, Ballycillian, good evening, Richard. Hope lovely to see you. Hope you are well. Philly SBB, hello to you. Hope you are well. Philly does apologise for no video this week. Belfast City and Ballycillian was out last night, so sounded a little bit rough. Not to worry, I wouldn't have been able to get the video up in time to get it all sorted anyway. Rebecca, good evening to you. Hope it's all been a lovely week for everyone. Good evening to you. Muddy Boots, good evening to you. Hope you are well. Hargrave Gas, evening everyone. Hope you've all had a great week. Muddy Boots says lots of welcome rain today here in West Midlands. Bit of a shower here today, to say the least. Anna Jones, good evening to you. Hope you are well. Graham Arnold, good evening to you. Kate Spratt, good evening to you. Graham says we could have done with some of your rain. I think we could do with rain everywhere at the moment. Digwell's joined, good evening to you. Yowza, yowza, yowza. Rebecca says, "Oh, Richard, you didn't need to do that." I'm very fussy. I've got to go. I've made the time I say I go live every week. I've got to do it anyway. Margaret has joined. Good evening to you. Anna Jones says, "Did everyone enjoy International Dawn Chorus this morning?" Yes, I did. I was up. I heard it when I let Roxy go outside and opened up the chickens. Lovely to see. Dan's doing good evening, praying for rain. I think we're all praying for rain. Richard Golden, good evening to you. Ian Beddoes says, has Amanda kicked you out? No, I've been called out. I'm actually half an hour away from another podcaster that many of us will know. This is the first time in 2 years I've been called out on a Sunday night where I haven't been able to go live from the studio. So slightly different, and I apologize for that. But I think we're going to have a wander around because I'm in a nice little area, so we can take it out on the road and see how it goes. Alison has joined. Good evening to you. Hope you're well. And Kate, just heading home from my allotment myself. Back tomorrow. We need some rain, though. Ground very dry. Indeed, we do need some rain. I think that's a thing we're all praying for. Now, let me know what you've been up to over this last week. In your own allotments and in your own gardens. I have had a week off work this week, which is annoying that I'm on call at the end of a week. But I've done a lot of work in the home plot, getting various things done. Well, actually, I had a few days off. I did actually take a few days off and go and went out for a trip with the wife and the dog. But being out, done a bit of weeding, bit of clearing up. We have got the allotment greenhouse back up and running, fitted all the glass panels, so that is ready to go. Move some plants down there, and then it's still tomorrow to go. Having tomorrow off is looking good. I'm just going to open a window because to me or open a door a little because it sounds like it's a little echoey to me. Hopefully that makes it a little bit better. Hopefully you also hear some of the birds. We were talking about the dawn chorus earlier. What else have I been doing? Well, the big news that I've got to share about tomorrow, actually, the chickens are allowed to come outside. The chicken lockdown, or flockdown as it's also known, has been lifted. So that's a big release or relief for me. Going to enjoy letting my chickens roam around the garden when Roxy's not around, but on the whole, they're going to be enjoying a bigger area I've cleared out for them and put a cage up. So yeah, that is what I've been up to over this last week. Of course, you'll hear more about it on the podcast tomorrow. So Richard Golden says, looks like you're at a bank holiday dogging car park. Yeah, it does feel a bit like that. It's in the middle of a town centre in Chelmsford, believe it or not. But there's a river literally just over there and lots of bridges and things. Also noticing lots of buddleia. I hate the buddleia. Ballycillian, I was out last night but not drinking. Early hours of the morning, we became grandparents again. Mother and baby doing great. Congratulations, Ballycillian. And please, absolutely pleased to hear that. And congratulations indeed to you. So Muddy Boots has been preparing brassica and onion beds during the week and planted 6 hanging baskets today. Yes, hanging baskets. It's time to get those all planted up and nearly ready to get outside. I think that's why we're all looking forward to a bit of rain as well. So the season is upon us. Ian Beddoes, this week I have been driving from Malaga and since getting home I've been watering plants. I bet they were thirsty, although I don't know how dry it was in Malaga, but I bet they were thirsty when you got back home. Rebecca, I have been praying for rain for weeks, but don't want any now as I've just stained the decking. It's always the way, isn't it? Always the way. I've got to say, we've had a conversation quite a few times lately about rain. I don't think anybody has really known it to be as dry as it has been this early on, this year. It's certainly been a very dry, long one, but it's still, I don't feel, quite warm enough to take a chance to get our plants, or certainly our tender plants, outside. Now that's what I'll be actually going to be doing tomorrow, getting lots of plants sown and pricked out again, ready for this growing season. Alison is saying congratulations to Ballycillian. Rebecca is also saying congratulations. Adrian, good evening to you. Hope you are well. Anna Jones says congratulations to Ballycillian. Digra drove 60 miles from Dursley to Salisbury yesterday afternoon. Took 2.5 hours. Yeah, I'm 74 miles away from home here. So once I finish this, it'll be a 2-hour drive home as well. Salisbury, I was near there on Friday, which is something I'll be talking about in just a moment. Stuart Jackson, good evening to you. Idaho Garngal, hello, good evening to you. Beatrice, hello everyone listening while cooking dinner. What are you cooking? Digra, devices was closed for a funway, a 40-minute detour. Don't you hate it when that happens? Just going to bring this down slightly. Muddy Boots says, congratulations, Grandpa, to Ballycillian, indeed. I think that is the comments caught up on. So if anybody has joined and wondering why I'm in the work van, it's because I've been called out and couldn't go live from the studio. I've had to grab my phone and go live here. I'm in Essex, about 2.5 hours away from where I live, but we're going to make the most of it. Ian Beddoes says, had some huge thunderstorms in Malaga on the M5 Friday, moved 6 miles in 4 hours. Yep, I don't envy that. Bank holiday weekend, so there's always expected to be a lot of traffic. Now, what I want to talk about tonight is what garden shows are you planning to go to this year? Friday, I went to Gardeners World Live in Beaulieu, their spring fair. Had an absolutely brilliant day. I was going to show you loads and loads of photos, but unfortunately, as you can see, I can't do that from here. So you're just going to have to use your imagination. But we had a fantastic day. Lee, the skinny jean gardener, he came down the night before, and we drove down with Amanda, and Roxy, the dog, came along as well. She got spoiled absolutely rotten, got a lot of attention. That was something I really liked about this show, being able to take your dog in. There was a lot of dogs there, but there was a lot of attention at that Roxy was getting, even from the photographers that were going around and taking a lot of. So we got there. First of all, we walked in and we greeted by the sight of the stalls, which we weren't focusing so much on. The stalls are great, don't get me wrong. We did buy a few things, including I've got myself a new veggie pod coming, hopefully this week. Just going to close that door because I'm getting a little bit chilly. New veggie pod coming this week, and I've got a new pair of welly boots coming as well, because you all know I've got a pair of welly boots that I really like because they are so light. What else did we do? We had a look around the show gardens. Lots of really good looking show gardens there. One in particular I really liked was made by the National Vegetable Garden, which just had rows of food. Runner beans, which were like 6 foot tall. They've obviously been forced on for the show, but rows of brassicas, cabbages, beetroot, kale, just a full-on veg plot that just looked absolutely stunning. And there was also a stall or show garden made by a company or a community garden called Alfie, based in Alton, which is all about turning scrap areas of land into somewhere that they can produce food for people in the local area to come and get food from. And it was absolutely stunning to see. And I've been to Alton. It's in Hampshire, and I've seen one of their gardens many times, but I didn't realise the history behind it. So I'm going to be going up there at some point and chatting to Alfie. And another show garden also had Wurzel Gummidge and Aunt Sally as scarecrows on the place. Also, again, full of vegetables. There was a lot of other show gardens, but obviously I focus more on the vegetables. We also had a wander around Beauty Gardens itself, a beautiful walled garden with lots of land, lots of vegetables that they can grow. Slightly early to see it at its best, I got the impression, but saw that. Lucy and Saul from the Plant-Based Podcast were doing tours around there, which were very good. We sort of got the tail end. They looked incredibly busy. Adam Frost was doing a few talks throughout the day. And don't know if you ever watch Gardener's World, but he's recently had to move house, and he was explaining to us as the audience why he's had to do that, and it was quite heartbreaking actually. A lot of people have jumped to the wrong conclusions and assuming he's moving for numerous wrong reasons, shall we say. The reasons he's had to move gardens, he's had a bit of a breakdown and was mentally struggling, so he's moved to a smaller garden. Seems to be doing much better for that, and I thought that was great to open up and talk about that. So overall, yes, it was a really good day. We had to look at the motor museum as well, the cars in there, the Top Gear cars particularly. Went on the monorail, which you will hear us chatting on the monorail on the podcast as well. But that is a fairly big, at £20 a ticket, I think it is, a fairly big garden event near me. And what I want to know from you guys, what garden events are you going to be going to this year? Now, I will be going to Gardener's World Live in Birmingham later on this year, which is much of the same show as I went to on Friday, but in a much bigger scale, but without the actual motor museum and the house and gardens that we can visit. And what other? There's one at Audley End House, also in Essex as well, in the autumn that I might go to. Malvern is on my list of garden shows that I want to go to. I believe that's not long until it happens. So lots going on there just to get started off. So let's have a look at the comments and see what everyone is saying. Where did I leave? Andrew Norris had the most dramatic thunderstorms here in the village, and I only just planted my parsnip seeds. Yeah, I'd love a thunderstorm. I think with you, it could do with a really good thunderstorm here, actually. Ballysin is saying thank you to everyone. You are most welcome. I think we're all absolutely pleased and happy for you there. Grow veg, better late than never. I got carried away in the garden. Don't blame you. Don't blame you. I would love to be carried away in the garden. Muddy Boots, Malvern Spring Show next weekend. I better get my, busy for that one, so won't be able to go to that one. BBC Gardeners World Live, Shrewsbury Show, Malvern Autumn Show. That's what I'm going to be going to. I'm planning to go. And Harrogate Autumn. That was another one I was thinking of going to as well in Harrogate. Bit of a journey for me, but I don't mind that. Rebecca says, I can't wait to visit a show again, hoping everything will be up and running properly this year. Based on what I saw on Friday, it certainly feels like it's coming back to normal. I went to the Spring Fair in Bewley last year, and I think a lot of the stall holders and the food places were a bit hesitant because they didn't know or couldn't guarantee it was 100% going ahead, even though Gardeners World knew it was going ahead. But what I saw, pretty much it was a lot bigger, a lot more going on, and things like the garden tours where people were close together was able to go ahead as well. So I do think all these shows coming up, Gardeners World for one, is going to be a lot better. I suspect they'll probably go indoors again as well. Stuart Jackson has said only sold veg plants this week. Sales are a bit slow, but still over £900 this year, which brings our total to 16,200. Is that right? 1,600 and 200. Fantastic. That's good going. Kate is going to Gardeners World Live Birmingham on the Friday. I'm still undecided which day I'm going to be going, but you're going to enjoy that one. I really do like Gardeners World. Kate says, Stuart, that is incredible. Digwell's going to Malvern Spring this Thursday. If I remember correctly, you are entering into the competitions at Malvern Spring. What I'm hoping you're going to win something. Malvern is next week, or the autumn show is in September. Yes, I know it's next week, and I can't do next week, but the autumn one is the one I'm really looking forward to going, because I'm told that's got more to do with vegetables. Just trying to open the door a bit because I realised I was getting echoey again. Muddy Boots, Digwell was saying to Muddy Boots, what days are you doing Spring and Gardeners World Live? Richard Vobes, good evening to you. Hope you are well. And Rebecca, I'm off to Gardeners World Live and first time at Chelsea for me this year. Yeah, Chelsea is... we were talking a lot about Chelsea, actually, because there's a lot going on at Chelsea with... a lot of the balcony gardens and veg growing, I believe. The trouble I have with Chelsea don't let me in because the BBC has all the rights to the broadcasting, so I'm not allowed in for that very reason, which always makes me laugh. Muddy Boots is at Malvern Thursday and Sunday. Gardeners World not there. See you Thursday. So a conversation going on there. Stuart, only going to the Malvern Autumn Show this year as I'm not about next weekend. Yes, the Autumn Show is better for us veg growers. And Nigel says Malvern Autumn has Canna Giant Veg competition. So, yeah. When Digwell says he's exhibiting in the autumn show, not the spring. Well, I think we will be making a point of going up to the autumn show. I need to get on that. I think it is awesome that UK has all these garden shows. I love watching the videos you all post. I'm going to have to make a video from Gardeners World now, although you will hear about it on the podcast, of course. Let me just try and get this straight. Yeah, I think it is awesome that here in the UK we do have so many garden shows. I always remember as a child going to our little village shows that we attended to quite often, the local village flower and fate show, wasn't it? And I don't think they're as popular as they used to be. I remember as a child, they used to bring in pretty much the entire village, and there would be dog shows going on as well as these flower shows, people showing off what they've grown, and a lot of local stalls sharing local, like your local nursery, having a stall there, which I thought was great. Absolutely. When I think back, I think is great as well. I know my local town, Littlehampton Town, does have one, and I can't remember when it is, which I'm hoping to go to this year, as long as it doesn't coincide, because normally it coincides with Gardeners World Live. But we'll see about that. Okay, so I think everyone's got their list of what shows they're going to. Anybody else got any more shows, then please do share. If anybody has joined and wondering why I'm sat in the work van, it's because I've been called out to Chelmsford, Essex, about 2 hours away from home. So it's slightly different, this live show, and I apologise for that. Vicar of Dibley Village Fete episode, hilarious. I never really, I think I've said before, I never really watched TV, so I cannot recall the Vicar of Dibley Village Fete, but I will have to go and check that out if it's available. I don't know if it's available on any of the other streaming services anymore, but I'll see if I can see clips. I know sometimes on YouTube you can see clips. But yeah, I think the village fete that I used to attend used to really bring in a lot of the local shop for local people, and I do feel they've been lost. The village I grew up in, they had one. About 3 years ago, I think was the last one that I went to, and it was absolutely. It wasn't as busy as I remember it, I'll put it like that. And I don't know if that's looking back with rose-tinted glasses, but I just felt it wasn't as busy. It wasn't pulling in the local community. And I wondered if that's because the local community has started to go down. Let's have a quick look. So Adrian says, I'm not far from him. That doesn't surprise me. If I had more time, I would stop off and say hello. Unfortunately, I do need to get home at some point. Rebecca, I normally go to Chatsworth, but the prices get ridiculous. It's smaller than Gardeners World Live, but a lot more expensive. Yeah, I can understand that. I used to go every year to Chili Fiesta. I spoke about this a lot. And that was at West End Gardens, which is in near Chichester, and what another Victorian wall gardens, a lot of a beautiful setting. But the price kept going up and up as it was getting more and more popular. I think last time it was something like £22. But the weekend it was on, there was a lot of storms, so it was a bit of a financial loss, I believe, that year. So they've stopped doing it. Sounds like we are going to Malvern Autumn Show. If you want bargains, go on a Sunday, as after the bell, the sell of everything off cheap. Yes, I do remember. It's same at Gardeners, any of these shows, actually. You go Sunday, go on the last day, rather, and they do tend to sell stuff off cheap towards the end of the day. This is difficult when I do a Sunday live show to do that now. Nice to see you still have control of the van by holding the steering wheel even when parked. Yeah, it's just more convenient, actually, to hold the camera on the steering wheel. But yeah, I want to come back to this Stuart Jackson's point about they sell stuff off cheap. They really do. And I remember standing in, it was Gardeners World Live in Birmingham towards the end of the day with a couple of people who, Lucy and Soul. And they were saying this is when they start to laugh because they see people buying all the bargains and they're buying the big sort of olive trees and things like that. And they take it out of the car and suddenly realise they cannot get it home that easily. I can hear a fox. I'm going to open the window door, see if you can hear the fox. Oh, it's stopped now. There was a fox just growling. Let's have a quick look at the comments. Graham Arnold, I had to plant my tomatoes in the polytunnel yesterday as brought them inside last week with the cold nights and they grew 6 inches. So hopefully no more frost. I think in the polytunnel they'll probably be okay if this sort of mild weather lasts. I'm certainly going to be planting up my greenhouse. I can say that now. So I think they'll be okay. Muddy Boots, DT Brown are at Malvern selling seeds, £1 a packet, bargain. If you are there, go and check them out. And Stuart says Malvern has good Wi-Fi, so you could do the show from a showground. That is what we're trying to test out today, funnily enough. See, it may have good Wi-Fi, but it's all about upload speed as well. Luckily here we're on 5G, so I get a really good signal. Hopefully the picture is coming through nice and crystal clear for you guys. It looks good and crystal clear from me here, apart from the odd shaking. But yeah, just have a quick check on what the time is, 6:30. So Idaho, this is going to be an interesting one because I'm wondering what happens over across the pond. We have country fairs. Mine is in August. People show livestock, flowers, veg, herbs, and more. Maybe I'll get to go to this year. Yes, we have some of those over here as well. And they often, I went to one a few years ago now that they did. It was a country fair type thing, but they also incorporated the local flower show as well. Where was that? Romsey in the New Forest. So yeah, we get something similar here, and I quite enjoy those as well. Picture better than from the podding shed joke. That wouldn't surprise me, in all honesty, if the picture quality was better. One, because I've got I'm using my iPhone, so it's just that, and two, the signal, the upload speed, because I've got 5G here and a good signal, is going to be much higher. The podding shed, I've got just enough signal to upload, or to complicate stuff, I know, but I get just enough signal and just enough upload speed to do it from, and that's still better than my own internet speed at home. Last time we went, I did a show garden. We had someone collecting our show garden. They had to leave room for the olive tree. They got cheap. They was hoping it would go in his wife's car. Ha ha. Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen happen a lot. People think they're going to get these bargains, and we've contemplated getting, when we were at Gardeners World Live a few years ago now, and this is where we're struggling to think what day to go up on. If we went on the Sunday, I've got to check if I'm not on call as well, thinking about it. We could have got our omelette, the chicken run people. We could have got one of their cages from a pretty cheap price, which is what we're thinking if they're going to be there. And I've got to check that all out and find out when it is on. But that we would have to take the VAT. We would take the VAT, would take Alfie anyway. We'd have to take the van to make sure everything fitted in, because otherwise it may be a bargain, but then you have to leave it behind. Graham, has anyone had success with cabbages grown in a polytunnel? Personally, no. I've not tried, apart from when I start them off. But has anybody else had success growing cabbages in a polytunnel? Kate says, after last week's skip guard duty at the allotment for volunteering, I went to the AGM and they wanted me to join the committee. Got voted in. What have I let myself in for? But happy to help the plot holders have a day. I'm going to organise Swede swaps. Great idea. It's a great idea to get involved in that. I think I said last week about joining the committee, and Amanda gave me a very much stern telling off that I cannot join the committee. Money Boots, I like to watch Chelsea final day. People struggling to get trees into the back cab or on the tube. Yeah, it is always so funny. Same as a lot of the events that we get to go to. You just see people getting the bargains, and I don't blame them for that. But just the realization of how on earth are you going to get it home? This is where I know we're encouraged to use public transport to go to these sort of shows, but it doesn't always work. You can't spend, I don't feel, you can't spend as much money on the show if you take public transport. Digbert says, that sounds good, Idaho. Our village shows are very similar and get loads of variety. And Idaho does say if she does go this year, she should make a video. Yes, please do make a video. It'd be great to see what these shows are like. Now, on that note, what I want to say and ask people is, what if you were designing your own garden show, or what would make your own your garden show that you attend ideal? Now, I say this because I've been to, and I've had a lot of conversations with people who are put off from going to certain garden shows, some of the ones that I've mentioned that I'm going to. One, because of the price, but also they believe that it's just a lot of stalls selling stuff when they get there. And I get that, to be honest, because I certainly do feel a lot of these shows, a large proportion is the stalls selling stuff off. But if we take Beaulieu, I'm going to use Beaulieu as the example. There was one field that had the stalls. There was another field that had the show gardens, and also where you could buy food from, which if you take your own packed lunch, you don't need to buy food from. But I always believe in trying to support some of these people as well, especially after the last couple of years. And so we did buy food. But we also had the ability, one, to go and have a look at the Motor Museum, which I felt the price of the Motor Museum is pretty much the same price as a ticket. So that kind of made it worthwhile. But we also was able to look at the gardens. And if we had paid extra, and I don't necessarily agree with paying extra, but we could have had a guided tour. So I like that we had these other things going on, that we were made the ticket price a bit more palatable, because you're not just going to be sold stuff, but also other things that we can go and look at. Let's see where the comments have got to. I can see there's more. Yeah, I'm going to do my purchasing at Gardener's World live as we have the car. I won't be able to buy anything at Chelsea, as I have to get the tube and a train. Indeed, yeah. This is an interesting point, and this comes back to what I was saying. When you're buying the price of a ticket, are you going there? Are you buying a ticket to go and have a look at the show gardens and see what's on? Or are you going there to be sold stuff to? It was a point I've always felt. Would be far too hot in my polytunnel for summer cabbages, this is for Graham Arnold, but have grown overwintering varieties for a spring crop while the beds are empty. That's funny enough what I was thinking as well. I mean, I can get away with growing cabbages outside over winter for winter and spring, so I don't put them in the polytunnel or the greenhouse. I don't have a polytunnel, so that's a null and void. But the point about, certainly in the summer, I feel they would be too hot and bolt very, very quickly. In the winter, you'd probably get away with it a bit better if you I think it was Graham who asked, if I remember correctly. In the winter, I think you'll get away with it a bit better in growing your cabbages or your cauliflowers inside your greenhouse, your polytunnel, sorry. Malvern is autumn show is about £20 a ticket, which is good value for money. Is it too late to sow lemongrass? Thanks. I would say it's a okay time to sow lemongrass. I think it's about right time. Just trying to think back. We can get away with it earlier in the year, but I think now would be a fine time to sow lemongrass. Yeah, £20 a ticket. I think all these shows do, except for Chelsea, of course. I think Chelsea's up £80 to £100 a ticket. But £20 a ticket, I think, is good value. I think it is worthwhile for a lot of the shows, providing they've got things going on stage. Or not just on stage, things that you can do that don't involve extra money. Like I say, go and have a look at some gardens and the show gardens. The talks on stage as well. I always said that is what you're paying the money for. When we were Beaulieu, Adam Frost was doing a lot of talks. Matt Biggs was doing a few talks as well. And it was great chatting to them and hearing from them. And that is also where I feel the price of these what do you call them? Price of these shows is. Kate says, would it be too early to plant our early fortune cucumbers? They are big and starting to flower, started indoors. Are you looking to plant these outside or in a greenhouse? If you are looking to plant them in a greenhouse, I would say it is okay. Just keep a close eye on the weather. If it is looking to plant them outside, I would say just hold off a couple more weeks. Or if you've got to get them planted, she does say plant outside. So if you've got to plant them outside, and perhaps put a cloche over them, be it a bottle that you can cut the bottom off or something, just to give them a bit of protection, just to get them established. I wouldn't put mine out for at least 2 more weeks, though, personally. Middle of May, when I look at getting mine. Chelsea, I believe Chelsea is normally a good sign that it's time to start getting your plants out when Chelsea goes ahead. That would have worked last year because it was a much later on. And is it normal time this year? I haven't even looked into it. That shows. Thanks, Richard. Chelsea is worth going once. I've been before on the Saturday. It was busy. I left at 3 p.m. I will not be going again unless I can get in on a Thursday. Yeah, I don't do well in crowds, but that's something I know the wife really wants to go to Chelsea one year, so perhaps I will suggest it to her. Thanks to the supporters club, I now have more seeds than garden to pot them in. Yes, I don't know if anybody has got maize arrived yet. I put them in the post Wednesday, but I've done them second class. So hopefully they should start turning up very, very soon, as long as the post starts to play ball, shall we say. But yeah, if anybody knows... Oh, Kate has arrived. So for the last few months, when I've been doing it first class, they've arrived quicker doing it in second class. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Beatrice has arrived yesterday. That is amazing. Second class, and they've arrived quicker than first class. I'm speechless. Anyway, for those who aren't a member of my supporters club, it is a club that I run to support the podcast and also support this live show. For the details on the veggrowpodcast.co.uk, I charge just £5 a month, and for that you get several packets of seeds each month, as well as extra behind the scenes podcasts and various other things. Digwell says, my maize seeds came on Thursday. Fantastic. Yeah, so yours arrived within a day, despite being second class. Rebecca says, yes, I've gone since I was a child, and Chelsea is somewhere I've always wanted to go. It's a one-off for me, so looking forward to it. Yeah. I really do want to go to Chelsea. I really do want to go to Chelsea. I got put off when I've applied in the past because, as I said, I cannot record anything from there. But I believe they're starting to loosen up on that. BBC has a broadcasting rights, and I believe I could next year I might be able to do about 20 minutes, but that's all I really need. I've got to go. It is a big one. The trouble is, again, for me, I'm about veg growing, not so much about the flower festival. Rebecca says, I've had my seeds for a few days now. Couldn't believe how quick they arrived. I'm absolutely... And Alison's arrived on Thursday as well. I'm absolutely blown away. We popped them in the post on Wednesday, second class, and they've arrived quicker than the first class in the last few months. I'm absolutely amazed at that. Margaret, I used to go to Hampton Court each year, much cheaper, less crowded in Chelsea. Hampton Court is pretty soon, if I remember correctly, isn't it? It's normally I'll be searching this up as I go. Hampton Court is it before or after Chelsea this year? That's another one I want to go to as well, and probably should go to. Again, I'm not allowed to record anything from there as far as I'm aware. according to the RHS rules, I'm not allowed to record anything because BBC has rights. Yeah, I can go to a BBC show and record as much as I like. I never understood that. Well, there's supposed to be 2 lots of beans, one in an envelope, one in a poly bag. Yes, there was. I did say that on Thursday's podcast. So there should have been 2 lots of beans in the one envelope, but I started doing them and then realised I forgot to pop the second bag in. So let me start this again. Yes, they should be both. They're both beans are the same. They just didn't fit in the one bag, so I put them in, and I mentioned it on the podcast. Apologies for that. There you go. Got some seeds. I just clear plastic bag. Not sure if they're April maize pack, can be some kind of bean. They're maize pack. They are the Belotti beans. There you go. Save money, use second class. Funny enough, that's exactly what we are thinking. Funny enough, it just seems like it doesn't. Just seems quicker as well. Weirdly, Monday and Tuesday, the 4th or 5th of July. Is that Hampton Court? Hampton Court is on a Monday and Tuesday, is it? Didn't know that. 4th and 5th of July. Probably won't be able to get that time off at this short notice. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I've got to swap hands. My hand's gone numb from holding this camera. So yes, here we go. Chelsea, 24th of May, Hampton, the 4th of July. I thought they were close together. 4th. And they normally go on for quite a few days, don't they? Yeah. 1 year we're going to go to Chelsea, and 1 year we're going to go to Hampton, possibly the same year. Mix things up and get things interesting. Rebecca's come up with a very good question. What's everyone's favourite things to look at these shows? So I'll answer this myself and let everybody else answer the same question. What I personally love about them is that listening to the people on stage and their love and passion for gardening. This could be some of the top celebrities, Adam Foster or Monty Don, for example. But hearing those on stage and they're you get a bit, I feel, because it is scripted to an extent, but I feel you get a much better conversation from the show talks than what you get on TV or radio, because it just feels a bit more natural and you can see better the emotion in the face. So yeah, I always feel the talks are, for me, one of my favorite things about that. Rebecca, she loves the show gardens, which are also very, very good. I'm always amazed that these show gardens are often there just for a few days, and how well they look, how well they last for those few days, considering they're under some harsh environments, those plants. But there is a lot of money goes into those show gardens as well. And Muddy Bits also says he likes the show gardens. You get some great ideas. Funny enough, I was looking at one garden on Friday, one show garden, and it had loads of straight copper pipe hanging up as like a wind chime. And I like this idea, partly because I got loads of copper pipe that I could use. I had second-hand used copper pipe. But the wind chime as well for scaring off birds and things as a natural deterrent. I like the idea a lot. And so, yeah, what he says about getting some great ideas. But he does go on to say, astonished at the cost. Yes, we are, in some cases, going up to the £100,000 for the show gardens. A friend of mine entered a show garden last year. It was probably only the size, I don't know, 5 meters by 5 meters. And that was £60,000 on that alone. A lot of money goes into these show gardens. But that also just goes to show how dedicated people are and how much people do value gardening. Idaho says, I usually enter the veg and herb categories, so I zero in on those. I'm growing a few flowers this year, so might enter one of the flower categories. Great idea. Great idea. Hampton Court is on the 4th and 5th of July for members only. Let it continue 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. £29 and £36 for Sunday. Soz following misinformation. No problem. I thought it was weird on a Monday and Tuesday. So, yeah. I'm in the 4th row for the Alan Titchmarsh talk, in the 5th row for Tom Kerridge at Gardener's World Live, Good Food Live. Yes, Gardener's World Live in Birmingham also incorporates Good Food Live as well. So it wasn't so big last year, the Good Food area, but this year, I believe, it's going back to its normal size. So good food, also good. Love looking how perfect of all the veg looks. I don't know how they do it. I'm definitely a wonky veg grower. I think you've got to realise is that they do it for a show garden. So they are forcing these plants on. They're looking after them incredibly well beforehand, but they're forcing these plants to look their best. They're not doing it to grow food. And there's also stories I've heard from certain celebrity gardeners when they've done a show garden. They've been quite honest about this. And they've had like an orange tree and the oranges have started to fall off. So they ended up sticking the oranges back on with pins and things just so it looked the part. What you often find with these show gardens, they look fantastic, but they're often, because they are a show garden, they are made to look good, not so much practical. I don't see show gardens here, maybe because it would be too difficult to get everything watered. Well, yeah, I mean, they do a lot of watering in these show gardens. They're watering them daily, the people who've built them. They are looking after them. And they do really, I think, by the end of the 3 days, some of these plants can be dying. I'll go to one, I've seen one which was indoors at the Ideal Home Show, which is normally in March as well. So the light's not great. They force these plants under grow lights to look good, and then they go into this very dark environment with no natural light, and by the end, and that one's about 2 weeks long, by the end of it the plants really do look awful unless they've changed them around, which I know some people do, swap out the plants to bring on the better looking plant. Talking of costs, floor space is very expensive for traders, particularly at the NEC. This is why I do believe in trying to support some of the traders. You know, it is expensive, especially after the last 2 years, and the food. I do like to, when I'm at a show, to buy food from some of the food traders. What we have on Friday, we had nachos and we had churros. Very, very nice, got to say. Expensive, yes, but I feel like I'm supporting them and trying to make up for the last 2 years where they've lost, a lot of money. It would take daily watering there in Idaho, show garden. Of course it would take daily watering, just don't get much rain. I would probably say they probably have to water them 2-3 times a day, I would guess. Now, Stuart Jackson, who has had experience of building a show garden, they are great to build, but I always hate taking them down. My last show garden cost less than £200. The school, the garden school, the adult show garden opposite us cost £100,000. Indeed, there is a lot of money that goes into it, and I mean, £100,000 on a show garden. What inspires people to spend that much money to show off what they can do? Because that's what they're trying to. It's advertising, isn't it? They're advertising their work. Kate, I love getting plants and seeds at the shows. Hubby left me unattended last year. Rookie mistake. Yes, that's a good point, actually. Kate does love getting plants and seeds at the shows. That's another good thing I feel when you do talk to the stall holders. I mean, I've got a problem with some of the shows that you pay to get in, and it's mostly people selling you stuff. I do have a problem with that because I think that's wrong. But the advantage with it is you do get to the talk to the people who produce the equipment, who make it, who might sell the seeds or the flowers. So you do get a better salesman talking to you at these events. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. And you can get better advice rather than just going into, let's say, a garden centre, for example, or a supermarket and buy the seeds or the plants from, and getting not so good advice. I mean, garden centres are pretty good, but not as good as what I would say as these places. Funny enough, somebody asked me the other day if I would do a show garden at a show, of which I quite quickly said no. I don't feel I am tidy enough or got the I've got the imagination to do a show garden. I just haven't got the patience or the tidy and neatness to do a show garden. What you said about fake force plants at shows is very similar to food photography. Cream is shaving foam, ice is plastic, water droplets are glycerine, etc., etc. And yeah, it is exactly like food photography, where everything is fake to try and. Now, I'm not saying the show gardens the plants are fake, but they're just forced to look their best for the show. It is a show garden after all. And as I said, somebody has had to virtually staple oranges back onto the tree to make them look the part, and hid the staples so they wouldn't be seen by the judges. But it's a show garden. It's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a garden that we would have at home. It's a show garden. Most show gardens are sponsored, so the gardener just builds it. Most plants come from growers. I've done show gardens at Chelsea and Malvern. Never again. Yes. And the reason they're sponsoring it is they're trying to advertise themselves, aren't they? They're trying to drum up business. So if they spend 100 grand on a show garden, they're going to want 200 grand's worth of work to come back. Business at the end of the day, business. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. At the end of the day, if it shows you what you can do in a show garden, what you can do in your own garden, gives you ideas, and you might want to see a particular plant that you absolutely love, then why not? Why not go and spend money and do it? Now, I've got to say, at this point, if you are enjoying this show, I know it's slightly different because I'm in the van. I know new people have attended, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. But if you are enjoying this show, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, a like, a follow, a subscribe, and all of that jazz. It's always good to get more appreciation. I know this is slightly different because I am in the work van. I've got called out tonight, and I'm very strict that if I go live at 6 every Sunday, I go live at 6 every Sunday. This is the first time in over 2 years I've been doing this show, I think. Yeah, we started in 2020. Was originally just on Facebook, so we started in 2020. 2022, so nearly 2.5 years we've been doing this. It's the first time this has happened, so I think I can allow myself a little bit of credit there. So we were saying, what is your favorite thing about these shows? What do you really like? And I said my favorite is got to be the talks, and I'm also thinking the fact you can get a proper advice, really good advice. I've got to say, it's probably my close second favorite thing. As I mentioned, we go and chat to certain stall holders. I use Veggiepod as an example because I got a lot of time for the guys at Veggiepod. Actually, I was chatting to. Normally I'll chat to Neil, who's the head of the UK, but he was at another show, and we had Lee, who was there instead, and I was chatting to him, and you get so much more advice, and trying to purchase the equipment. It tells you what you can do, what you can fit in, what you can grow in it. Bearing in mind that a lot of these people that are selling or producing this equipment, they have to use it themselves in order to give the advice as well, and that, I feel, is second to none. As my second favorite thing. Another question I want to ask you is, how far are you willing to travel to go to what you would class as a good show? I think we mentioned Harrogate earlier, and that is, it's about 6 hour drive for me. I'm seriously considering going to it this year. 6 hours, I'll probably drive up the night before, sleep in the van, and then probably have to make it last for a couple of days to make it worthwhile. When we went to Malvern, that was a 4 hour drive, if I remember correctly. It was a long day, I know that much. But I was glad we did it. I would probably now I wouldn't do it all in one go. I'd probably sleep in the van. Like I said, now I've got the camper van, I can sleep in these things to go to these shows more. Garner's World in Birmingham is a 3 hour drive if the traffic's good. So always takes longer coming back though. Beaulieu is only about just under 2 hours, so I'm quite happy with that one. We've got a show coming up in a couple of weeks' time at Hurstmonceux Castle, which is about an hour from me, which I'm considering going to. It's the first show they've done. It's called the Gardener's Garden Show or something. It's the first one they've done, and I can't find much about it at the moment, or get any contacts, but so it looks good. 2 hours is more than enough for me. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I do more than 2 hours, but that's working at the same time. 2 hours is probably a reasonable limit. I like tractor shows like that MP. Tractor shows like that MP. What MP is that? So, have I missed something there? Tractor shows. Yeah, I guess that falls in with the local country fairs we were talking about earlier as well. My favourite is getting great advice from all the trade and gardeners. Some are not even selling. I would look what was at the show first. Probably only about 3 hours to travel, which 3 hours, 2-3 hours is quite reasonable. I think so I'm a bit of an anomaly because I do travel a lot for work, and I'm used to traveling quite long distances in one go. So 3 hours, let's say I'm happy to do 4 hours for Malvern, maybe even 6 hours for Harrogate, although that would be sleeping somewhere as well. 3 hours. And what is everyone's favourite show that they have been to as well? I always used to say Chili Fiesta at Westdean was my favourite show, but I'm leaning more towards Gardener's World now. One, because Chili Fiesta doesn't go ahead anymore. The new head gardener came along and felt his belief was that it had to be a show that could only be held at Westdean, and Chili Fiesta could be anywhere. I disagree with that thought, but that was his thought. Whereas I feel Gardener's World is probably now becoming my favourite show, the one in Birmingham, that is. Although Beaulieu I'm really enjoying as well. But I'm looking for more shows to go to compare. So if anybody's got a favourite show, please do let us know that too. Just looking at the time, 7 o'clock. Rebecca says, for the money, I don't think you can beat Gardener's World live and you get the food show. I agree. I do agree. You know, I think that's why it's rapidly becoming my favourite show, Gardener's World live in Birmingham. And when you get a food show, which last year was a bit on the small side because obviously everything had to be outside. But once they opened up the indoors, I wonder if, does anybody know if Kenny Tutt is going to be at Gardener's World live as well? On the Good Food side. That'll be a good one. Stuart says, after going to so many shows, I would put Malvern every time, as they have so much room. They have great food as well. Yeah, what I liked about Malvern as well was you could see the Malvern Hills in not that far away as well. It was beautiful scenery, and you didn't feel like you were hemmed in, like there was a big town nearby. Is Gardener's World a part of the spring show in Birmingham? Gardener's World Live is the main show that Gardener's World do, and it's in Birmingham in, I think it's June, could be wrong. But it's Ian went to the spring show in Beaulieu last year. For those who know, it's very similar to that, but on a much bigger scale. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. Rebecca, we visited a very small garden show in Newark last week. It also had a dog show, which you might have enjoyed, Richard. I really enjoyed it as an individual, being quite small. I've got to admit, taking Roxy to Beaulieu on Friday was really good for us, I've got to say, because we don't have children, as no doubt you know, and having to Roxy's sort of like our child, becoming a bit of a, we're learning how people who have children have had to adapt what they can and can't do to that. So yeah, I do like it if we can take dogs in. I've got to say that's quite an important thing now, and I think that a lot of people were taking dogs in. I know a lot of the flower shows that I used to go to, grew up in, they also incorporated the dog show as well, so you would have dogs on parade as well. Again, that comes back to that whole village vibe and showing off what people can do locally. Just checking, my work phone made a noise just now. I'm just checking I haven't got another call, because that would be annoying. Right, let's get rid of that comment. I would have loved to have opened the phone lines up, but obviously I can't do that today. I think actually what I might be able to do, if I can add a link. If anybody does want to, oh hang on, no I can't. No, I can't do it on here. I'm going to see if I can add a link, so if anybody wants to zap in. I'm just looking out here. Does anybody want to see what's going on outside this car park and see if there's anything interesting around here? Let's take this out on the road, see if we can move around. If this works, we might be able to do some more down on the allotment at some point. Can you all hear me still? Let's go for a walk. So indeed, let's go for a walk. Where's my van keys? So look at that. Lock the van up. There we go. Right, can you all hear me still okay? Let's see what's going on. So, indeed, yeah. I can see we've got some buddleia here, which the flowers to me look like they're dying off, they're drying out. I hate buddleia. We got it at home. It seems to pop up everywhere as well, which is, I feel, is really annoying. Because it grows just like a weed. Still good volume, excellent. Have any dog walkers been pastured? Thought you were going mad talking to yourself. Oh, have any dog walkers? No, I don't think they have. I've parked right in the far corner, away from where anybody would be able to park. I don't think this is actually a footpath through here. Let me show you what we got. It looks a bit like there's just obligatory, what do you call it? Funny if someone nicked a van now. Yeah, there's the obligatory shopping trolley. Let's just see if we can venture in off the beaten track. People throwing rubbish around, which I absolutely hate. There is a plant pot here. There is a plant pot here, though. So, can I see, is there a footpath around the back? I think there is a footpath around here amongst these trees. There was a notice. Oh, no. There's a notice saying this constitutes as trespass, so I've got to get out of here. So we're not going to stay in here because I don't want to get into trouble. Right, let's see. And I thought there was going to be a footpath around here, but there isn't. All I can see on the other side of this, I think this is the river just down this side here. There is a lot of, there's a footpath on the other side. I'm not going to swim across the river, of course. But you can see just out there. Lots going on out there. Lots going on, isn't there? Lots going on. Although I do feel, as I said, these buddleia, I've got another one here. The flowers on these buddleia are going to seed, which I think is really, really early. I've also noticed some of the trees are starting to look a little bit dry and the leaves are starting to turn lately. Down here, I'm back in the van now. Down here on the south coast, it's looking in some cases like autumn is setting in with how dry things are at the moment. Taking any cuttings whilst you are there. Not a buddy, I don't need it. We've got one that we just cannot get rid of, and it seems to put seeds in everything else, no matter what we do. I absolutely hate buddleia because of how invasive it is. I know it can be quite pretty, but it gets so big, it's so invasive, and it's just a nightmare to try and get rid of. And I think it's going to cause some damage. We've got one that seems to be growing in between our paving slabs in a front garden, and I think the roots on that is going to damage the concrete as well, which is worrying me. I refuse to use weed killer on anything. I'm a bit of a believer that if you just keep hoeing at it and keep cutting it down, it should die off. But it's starting to look like I may have to, and I don't want to, but I may have to, if I have no other option, use a weed killer just to get rid of it, because it's going to cause some damage. Vlogger arrested for trespass in tomorrow's paper. Yep, it could happen. Could happen, indeed. I know if that was Amanda, she'll be out there. She doesn't pay any attention to trespass rules, but hey. Right, what's the time? 7:10. I'm probably not going to go till 7:30 tonight, in all honesty, because I need to get home. Like I said, I've got about a 2.5 hour journey home across the get south of the river, as they say. But we will be back next Sunday. We will be back in the podding shed. We might do some from the allotment as the evenings get lighter and lighter, but I think next week we will definitely be back in the podding shed with everything going like normal. Anybody got any ideas of what we can discuss for next week? Obviously, I will have the pictures. Anybody posting any pictures, I will show those off next week. I know we've had quite a few in the group gone on. I just haven't been able to upload it in time and be able to access it on this on the phone. So that's why I haven't done the photos tonight, and I apologize for that. But anybody got any ideas for next week of what we could do as a nice little subject? Great show from the band. Get better internet than we have at home. Indeed, we do. It doesn't surprise me that, because it's 5G, and my internet, my broadband, is pretty slow. Rebecca's just came up with a good one. Are we ready for plot tours yet? I'm always happy for plot tours, but when did we last do one? Was it March? But yeah, if anybody got plot tours, then please do send them in. And Nicola's just joined, just as we're probably going to start wrapping up. May allotment tours, yes. Let's do that. May allotment tours then. So people, please do send in your videos of allotment and garden tours and show us what your allotments, what your gardens have done or are looking like for next week. That'd be great to see. It'd be a lot of fun, I think. I always like seeing other people's allotments as well, and see what ideas. Like we were talking about Shoguns earlier. Like we were talking about Shoguns earlier, the ideas and the inspiration is what we can also do with these allotment tours. Ian Bello says, think you've been excellent tonight. Well done, Veggie. Thank you very much, Ian. Hopefully I've done my best for you. Bally's saying, when do you want the next allotment / garden tours? We'll do that next week. You can get some sent in. Nicola says she's lost track of time and day. Easily done, isn't it? Especially this bank holiday. Stuart says, great subject for next week. I promise I will film in the correct way up this time. Yes, please do film in landscape. I can normally adjust things anyway if I get enough time, if you send it to me enough time. But if you can, and if this is itchy. Yeah, anybody has any trouble, then please do. To send me any videos that you have, go to wetransfer.com, send them to richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. It's my email address. That's the easiest way to send me videos. Graham says, top effort tonight, Richard. Much appreciated. And Nicholas says, farm tours. Yeah, please do. Any tour of anything like that. Can we talk about fertilizers and feeds that are needed for different veg? I'm a newbie and confused. That's certainly one that we can talk about as well. Yes. We'll do the plot tours next week, and the week after we'll do feeds and fertilizers. So that's the next 2 weeks worked out. Yeah, we can do that. I believe in keep it simple, so I'll get a few on that I use, and we'll go through what you can do and that. Chicken lockdown finishing very soon. Yes, tomorrow or midnight tonight it finishes. So my chickens will be out tomorrow, and they will be having their freedom. Kate says, well done for tonight, Richard. Much appreciated. No, thank you so much for joining and bearing with me. I know this has not been our usual standard, but I always knew there was going to be one night I would get called out when I'm doing a live show. So I've always had this option planned in the back of my head as a way we can get around it. Alison says, thank you for another fab show. You're most welcome. I think we will start closing this up and head home. I'm getting a bit peckish as well. Forgot to tell you that the granddaughter Heather called earlier and managed to find 3 pea pods ready to eat. She loved them. That's very good for peas. Very early. Nice. So Ian's already harvesting the peas. Nicholas says, my duck's not been out either. It's horrible, isn't it, this chicken? Oh, shit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I just hit the horn and then I swore. Apologies. Yeah, it's been horrible, this lockdown. My chickens have hated it. Absolutely hated it. So, rather annoying. Aidan saying, bye. Veg in the van. All you need now is a little garden in the back of your van. Yeah, I don't think my boss would like that, I'm afraid. And Rebecca's laughing. Right, guys, I am going to wrap this up. Sorry it's so early. Sorry it's been different. Kate says that made me laugh so much. Beep, beep. Yeah, sorry it's been different. Sorry I've not been able to do my usual standard, but I think it's worked and it's been a pretty good success. So I'm very happy with it. Somebody's to put a laughing emoji on Facebook, I can see. Yeah. Glad I caught the end, and hope the wife's done steak and chips with you with peppercorn sauce. That would be nice, but she cooked me shepherd's pie before we left, which I did eat before coming out for lunch, so I can't see that happening. It's raining in Stuart's area. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Indeed. Yeah, I don't think we got rain here. Right, Let me get myself prepared so I can leave. There we go. That's what I need. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up and head on home. Let's say I've still got 2 hour journey home at least. So we will be back next Sunday at 6. So until next time, please take care. I'll see you all again then. How do I get myself out of this? That's the one.